How far have you gone up to here?
Fellow Kenyans.
Oh, fellow Kenyans. Oh, fellow Kenyans, the significant increase in arbitrary arrests, enforced disappearances, torture, and extrajudicial killings should be deeply of concern not only to law-abiding Kenyans, but also the international community and our development partners. If it was not clear before, the release of the investigative report, the lifting of the fog, or lawyers say lifting the veil, reviews of the Kenya Police Service motto of utumishi kwa wote, quote unquote, or service to all, quote unquote, has been substituted by utumishi kwa Kenya Kwanza, Kenya Kwanza, quote unquote. Since June, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights and the Police Reforms Working Group have reported 23 murders, 34 forcibly vanished individuals, and 164 arrests, including those of Bob Njagi, Aslam Longton, and Jamil Longton, who were kidnapped in Kitengela and released after 1 month. Benzel Omondi, a JKU art student, was among the demonstrators who stormed the parliament on June 25th, was abducted 2 days later. 9 days later, his tortured body was discovered floating in a Georgia quarry. John Juguna Kuria, a civic educationist based in West Pokot, was reported missing for 12 days before his mangled body was discovered discarded. Over the past 3 days, Maverick Aoko and Boniface Mwangi have been kidnapped from their houses. After being freed, Mwangi was accused of inciting others. It's still not clear where Ms. Aoko is. The most alarming is that public mortuaries in Thika and Nairobi are requesting court orders to dispose 201 unclaimed dead bodies that the police have dropped off in the past year. Joining the growing international condemnation, the Independent Medical Legal Unit, IMLU, and the World Organization Against Torture, OMCT, have denounced this regime for gross human rights violations that amount to apparent breaches of international humanitarian treaties that Kenya has ratified, especially the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the Conventions Against Torture and Enforced Disappearances. As the opposition, we demand that the security services from the National Intelligence Service, NIS, under the leadership of Nordin, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, and the DCI, led by Mohammed Amin, the Anti-Terrorism Police Unit, ATPU, under the leadership of Sid Kiprotich, the Serious Crimes Unit, led by Michael Sang, Joseph Boynet, the Deputy National Security Advisor, State House, and the Crime Research Intelligence Unit, CRIB, led by John Onyango, ought to be held accountable for their violations of Kenyans' rights and made criminally responsible. Because at the end of the day, all public officers holding the positions I've mentioned are not above the Constitution. Furthermore, their immediate superiors, the Inspector General of the Kenya Police and the Minister for Interior and National Administration, should be held accountable for overseeing a service that has gone rogue with a focus on serving the interests of a few political elite at the expense of Kenyan security. However, it is our contention that the President of the Republic of Kenya carries the biggest responsibility for police phone spying, state-sponsored abductions, hijackings, and extrajudicial killings. Despite overwhelming evidence, including that of the Deputy President, Mr. Ruto and Gachagua, during the impeachment trial, Mr. Ruto continues to claim that he is not aware of any such incidents. Ruto further says that these abductions, extrajudicial killings, are fake news and propaganda that is hurting our nation. We want to make it clear to Mr. Ruto that it is actually his thought out efforts to revert Kenya to a police state that are hurting our nation and our nation's image, locally and abroad. The buck stops with him. Mr. Ruto should resign with immediate effect for violating his oath of office to be faithful and bear true allegiance to the public, to the Republic of Kenya, and that he would obey, preserve, and protect this Constitution of Kenya. That was the oath of office. Lastly, we take this moment to pay tribute to the brave Nation Media group journalists for releasing the investigations in a time of such great danger for practitioners. Regardless of media outlet, you have been brutally attacked by security agents. We understand the equipments have been illegally confiscated. We know that a fair number of you have been taken to court and gag orders issued stopping you from publishing on certain topics, organizations, or personalities. Nonetheless, you steadfastly adhere to the Kenyan Code of Conduct for the practice of journalism. By doing so, you have demonstrated that the fundamental yearning for democratic liberties, including access to honest and fact-based news, will never be destroyed, even by the most brutal dictatorship. Thank you very much, and may God bless our country, Kenya. I just need to probably highlight here, just as what is happening in the country with a living example. Regard to disenfranchising Kenyans, the people of Banisa in the northeast and the people of Magarini, for example, have been waiting. I think it's going to the second year, probably over 2 years. I have here, for example, Mr. Samuel Kombenzai. Why don't you stand here? Mr. Samuel Kombenzai has been waiting to run for the by-election in Magarini on a Wiper ticket, which is an Azimio ticket. But there's nothing happening. What instead we're witnessing is procrastination, attempts to say, because the most illogical thing I've heard in the last 24 hours is a statement by my friend Weta saying that they want first of all to dispense with the Gachagua hearings before he can forward the names of the 9 nominees to President Ruto to Gazette. Because he said if we send out, as we acted expeditiously, as my colleague has mentioned, then he said time would have started running. It is obvious they want to prolong this whole thing about establishing a new IEBC. We say it plainly so that even our diplomatic colleagues, heads of missions accredited to Kenya, please take note. I heard the American ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman, express concern. In fact, I think she even visited the IEBC. It is clear Mr. Ruto does not want an IEBC. I think he should tell us why he doesn't want a new IEBC. Wenyewe wajidhibiti, sababu usipojidhibiti basi itakuwa ngumu sana. Nakushukuru kwa swali lako. Kwa jumla tumekusanyika hapa leo ili tutoe taarifa ambayo tumesoma kwa lugha ya Kiingereza kwamba Wakenya hawaridhiki kamwe kwa sababu ya mambo haya matatu. Jambo la kwanza ni kwamba sasa yapata mwaka wa tuendelea sasa mwaka wa 3 hivi bila kuwa na tume ya uchaguzi. Na tumeweka wazi kwamba Bwana Ruto, rais wa jamhuri kwa wakati huu, ni kama hana nia kabisa la kuhakikisha kwamba Kenya inapata tume mpya. Yaliyofanyika nyuma yote tutaelewa, lakini sasa kuna umuhimu mkubwa sana. Jina la Kioni limepelekwa mbele kwa sababu jambo hili lilikuwa limepelekwa kwa mahakama. Wengine walikuwa wakitaka kulaumu wanaazimio na Wiper wakati ule, lakini wiki moja iliyopita uamuzi umetolewa na mahakama kwamba yule ambaye alikuwa anasongeshwa mbele atoki kwa chama ambacho kimewakilishwa bungeni. Kwa hivyo ikatubidi sisi wenyewe tukusanyike haraka sana, kwani tulikuwa tumepatiwa muda mdogo sana hadi saa 9 masaa 48 tumtafute ambaye atawakilisha kwa upande wa Political Parties Liaison Committee, kwa sababu Bwana Adams Olo alikuwa amepita wa ODM kuwakilisha bunge. Sasa Kioni tukapeleka jina lake, lakini tangu wakati huo hakuna jambo ambalo, kwa sababu ni Parliamentary Service Commission, naamini katibu wake Bwana Nyengenye akaandika barua akisema basi ili acheleweshe mambo haya hata tu kuweka kwa taarifa kila mmoja wenu hao watu 9 ambao umeteuliwa kama wana panelists, kila mmoja wenu atoe taarifa yake asivi naonyeshe vile amefikia kiwango hiki hadi kuteuliwa. Sio kazi ya Bwana Nyengenye kuuliza watu maswali kama hayo. Kazi yake ilikuwa tu ni kupeleka orodha pamoja na Waita wapeleke orodha kwa rais. So that was a delay tactic. Jambo la aibu sana hili. Tukiwa chini ya ulinzi wa katiba ya 2010 hatuwezi tukaruhusu mambo kama haya jameni. Upuzuishe ili tuwe na tume mpya. Kwa sababu tukiwa na tume mpya, tuna Bwana Samuel Nzai hapa ambaye anatamani kupata tikiti ya Wiper ili akagombanie kiti cha Magarini. Mimi mwenyewe niko na historia ya Magarini by elections. Nilimkampenia aliyeспика sasa hivi Bwana Amason King. Kulikuwa na by election, nikaenda nikampigia kampeni kabisa, akachaguliwa kama mbunge wa Magarini, na leo ni spika wa bunge la Senate. Kwa hivyo watu wa Magarini na watu wa Banisa na kuna wengine wengi ambao MCAs wengine wameaga dunia, na watu wanataka wapate huduma kutoka kwa viongozi. Kwa hivyo swala hilo nadhani tumelitamka vizuri. Jambo lingine hii mambo hii labda ngoja mwenzangu aongeze juu ya kina Safaricom hawa. Hatuna hujuma, hatuna kuhujumu, lakini Wakenya wajue kwamba mambo haya ukiona kama mwenzako ananyolewa chako tia maji. Wewe tia kichwa chako maji. We are doing it for the good of this nation. Eugene.
Asante. Kuongezea tukio kule Bomas. Wakumbuka tulikuwa na